no. All right, James,
But
awesome to see you. Thank you so much for your patience and
no
for your
problem.
perseverance and your resiliency. So, and thanks to all those who are watching. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to Jamie. Jamie and his family live out in Seattle, Washington. Jamie is, you can find Jamie and his business, the Sadler Bridges Wellness Group, on the Gay Dad Business Director at Gays with Kids. But Jamie, why don't you talk a little bit about your family first, and then we'll get into your practice, and then we'll talk about June 21st.
Okay. So my husband and I have 2 children. We met in London about 10 years ago this summer, and we ended up moving back here to move in with my aunt who had cared for me when my mother passed away. So I knew when she retired, she had no children of her own. I wanted to live with her. So we moved over, and I think are there any other dads who have tried to move to America from abroad? A lot of our qualifications didn't transfer, so we had to retrain. And so that pushed back our desire to start our family for a while, or at least being able to do it. So I would say we were here almost 6 years, and Tom retrained as a physician assistant. I retrained as a therapist. Then we started the surrogacy journey together. So we used worldwide surrogacy, which we were super happy with. And then we used 2 different clinics in Connecticut for our fertility clinics. Loved them both. American Fertility, which I think the person we use is now Illum. So loved that.
There was RMA Connecticut, Dr. Mark Leondiris is now alone, yes.
Exactly.
And
so he helped us have our first daughter, Echo, who is now 3. And then we thought it'd be a great idea to have another daughter like 15 months later in the pandemic, which it is, but it was a lot. So Delta was born in Florida, but she was, I think, American Fertility. So we were very lucky. We had 2 kind of textbook journeys, and those are still hard, and I know that not everyone has that. We've learned that from having other gay friends we've connected with through your site. So
just real quickly, Dr. Mark Leondiris, or Dr. Al, as he's known to a lot of his patients. He is one of the family building partners that we enjoy working with on the GWK Academy. Quick commercial interruptions. If you don't know what GWK Academy is, it's the app we created to help gay and queer men become dads, figure out which path to fatherhood is best for you, and then to help follow you and guide you along your entire journey. So if you want to know more about Dr. Al, you can check out GWK Academy. All right, so I love your names, and you and I have talked about this. It's Echo and then Delta. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, so I told you the story that we named Echo. My father's a pilot, and we wanted to do something to kind of nod to him, but something that was kind of short and cute, so we picked Echo. And then my husband and I still fight totally the accuracy of the story, but we were in a hotel and we were watching Designing Women, and we couldn't really decide. Our second daughter was named Cleo for a long time. And then we were watching an episode of Designing Women where, Delta Burke was there. And I think like the minute we started talking about Delta and we saw that, we were like, that's it. Echo, Delta, it matched. And to be honest, she has such a big kind of sassy personality that I guess she just kind of grew into the name. Yeah.
That's awesome. As someone's old enough to have seen Designing Women during its original run, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've watched the original one, but close to. I mean, I'll be 41 in a few months, so.
Jamie,
yeah,
baby, you're just a baby.
Well, I think everyone knows when you have babies, you don't often feel like a baby anymore. So.
That is very true. That is very true. All right, so now let's get to work. Tell us about your practice. How did that come about? Your areas of specialty, etc.
Okay, so Raquel and I used to work at a different practice together, and I think they were growing in a direction that really wasn't for us. And we had very similar mindset on what we wanted to create, and we wanted to create a holistic practice that was going to be able to help people through all stages of being in relationships and things we're adapting to as individuals. So she does a lot of work with kind of gentle parenting and parenting tips and play therapy, and it really works on that side of it. And I work kind of on the side of it where I realized that it's really hard to maintain being intimate with your partner through marriage, when work gets hard, and especially when you become a father. I think when you become a father, you have to renegotiate all your identities. And I think one of those that we forget about a lot is who we are sexually. And total transparency, Brian, I think when I was doing my master's degree, my first master's was in English, so like I could make no money. So then when I was in like my second master's, I was like, what can I do where I'm going to be able to help people? And no one wanted to talk about sex, but everyone wants to have sex. So I thought, that's it. I'm comfortable with it. I want people to be having good sex. And so that's what I went into. And this practice we've created allows people to come to one place and work on all of these aspects that create a really good foundation for their family.
I love it. Before we became dads, most of our friends were parents. Almost all of them were heterosexual couples, and all the men complained about like having no sex once they became dads. And I was really interested to see what it would be like for my husband and I. And sure enough, it's all about the kids, and like that's where you put everything. So, and I've since talked to other friends of ours who've been, long-term couples and have kids, and sex is just so easy to fall by the wayside. So, how do you? And I know I'm not expecting you to cure any of us watching, or to help any of us watching, but like just tips, like what do you say to people like us? What should we get started on? How do we make things better?
Well, I think the first thing that I work with clients a lot around is keep seeing your partner as your lover, as like a sexual person. Because I think when we have children, we start seeing them even more as our partner and a fellow dad, right? So we all of a sudden this thing that was really exciting and connective and grounding. Not that it's dirty, but it's almost like, well, we can't do that because we're dads now. And I know people are saying that, we have the baby home, we can't have sex. The kids really aren't. I mean, it's like 6 or 7 months before they're like, propping up and looking at you. So they're going to sleep through it. I know with some of the foster dads and adoption, it's different ages, so you're working something
Right.
different. But it's remembering that part of what made you such a great foundation to bring these children into your lives is the intimacy, and that's emotional and physical. So you got to prioritize that. I think sometimes I've heard people say, I don't want to break up my marriage because of sex. And it's really not just sex. We're talking about the way that you connect with people and the way that you connect with your partner. And that's such a deep, intimate thing. So first of all, remember they're still your lover. Like and I think I've said this one to you before, don't say you want to be spontaneous. No one's ever spontaneous. It's consistency, not spontaneity. Think about when you were younger and you were just going out to like hook up or date.
Yep.
You cleaned the bedroom, took care of yourself, you manscaped, whatever you're going to do, took your prep, whatever. It's like you knew you were going out for something. It may be spontaneous who you went home with, but it's not spontaneous. So I tell couples all the time,
Funny.
Stop focusing on spontaneity. Look for continuity, consistency, schedule time. No one's come back and complained that they had a bad time having sex when they put it on the schedule. Once they start, they're having a pretty good time.
Okay, I've heard about that, like the Thursday date night.
Yeah.
That's the end of the room. Yes. All right, so let me ask you this. How do folks, there's a lot of telehealth going on with therapy today. So how does that work, and what's your availability?
So telehealth is there's a lot of telehealth during the day, which is probably other dads have a similar thing with the work, is my kids are in daycare during the day. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I do some hours, but mostly in the day. I would say telehealth is convenient because people take their lunch breaks. And
That's interesting.
for the most part, I would say that some couples find it difficult to do telehealth just because if I give them any advice, it would be find a space that's not your home to do it in. So I think sometimes it's hard when they're having a really intense discussion, and traditionally I would send them out to go have a dinner together, go walk on the beach, go take a stroll, drive home with some fun music on. When they just shut the laptop down and they're in their living room, they're just left with what we were just talking about. So I always tell people, try to find a space, at least on your end, that doesn't, and don't do it in your bedroom. Don't sit in your bed and do it. Sometimes people do that, but I'm so grateful that we have the tool, because in COVID, people realized what it was like to spend 7 days a week with their partners, which I think most of us had never done before.
Correct.
It's great in some ways, and in some ways it was like, who did I marry? Right.
Well, right. See, and even more so for those of us who are dads already, and we're having to figure out work and taking care of the kids who are in front of their screens, supposed to go to school all day.
Oh,
And what are you able to do telehealth nationally? How does that work?
so there's something that's really cool that's happening right now, and they're starting to create a counseling compact, which is early 2024, we're going to be able to start getting licensed in any state that joins that. So I know New York is trying to join that, Florida. My partner is licensed in Texas, so I'm getting licensed there. There's so many great gay dads in Texas that I'm friends with online, and that I know there's a huge community there.
There is.
We're also currently looking into legal stuff around opening like a coaching branch of our practice, kind of like a parent coaching or a sex coaching branch, just to help people out. Kind of not in a therapeutic way, but more in like a dynamics way, because sometimes you just need someone to point you in the right direction. So that's kind of where we're at now. Yeah. So at the moment, we're licensed in Connecticut, Texas, and Washington. The coaching would probably be more widespread. And then once that compact takes effect in early 2024, hopefully we're going to be, a lot, across a lot more states.
Awesome. All right, now let's talk about June 21st. So you and I are going to co-host a virtual meeting, Sex Town Hall. Do you want to talk more about what you expect to have happen in that Sex Town Hall?
Oh, absolutely. So one of the things that I'm really excited about that is I wanted to invite anybody who is part of the Gays with Kids community or who's watching this now to send in any questions you might have. Some of the specialties I have around sex, I do a lot of work with ethical non-monogamy, which we've talked about, Brian,
Yep.
people who open up their relationship anywhere in the spectrum from kind of swinging, hooking up, thruples, polyamory, answer the questions about that. I get a lot of questions about libido, mismatched libido. That's a huge one. I get a lot of questions about how do we balance a healthy sexual life with kids. So really, it's just going to be time where I just invite you to kind of pick my brain and talk about sex. And if you don't feel comfortable writing it in here, you can send it beforehand, and I'm happy to share what I know.
That's awesome. I am very excited about this
Me
conversation
too.
that we're going to be having. So it's not available yet on our website, but we're going to come back. We'll do maybe another Instagram Live beforehand when we're able to send people to register for it, etc. But in the meantime, anyone interested in talking to Jamie or working with Jamie, check out the Gay Dad Business Directory from Gays with Kids. I'm sure the link will be available as well in our description. Jamie, thank you so much. Thanks again for keeping up with me. And
Oh no, thank you. But I felt for you. I'm not great with technology, so my heart went out to you. And
like my finger's not working. Yes. But we're delighted to have you as part of the Gay Dad Business Directory. And if anyone wants to talk, have any questions about anything that we discussed, especially around Jamie's passion, which, as you know is sex, please feel free to reach out to him. Either if you can either reach out to him, I guess, on his Instagram handle here.
Yep.
You can leave a comment for us here. Send an email to dads@gayswithkids.com or find him on a Gay Dad Business Directory. If you have a business that you like to promote and to our community of dads and dads-to-be, we'd love to have you on there. Again, just go to the Gay Dad Business Directory and all your questions will be answered. But if you have any other questions specifically, either send us a message here or reach out to us, dads@gayswithkids.com. Jamie, great to see you. Thank you so much for taking an hour up of your night tonight. Look forward to being in touch with you soon.
All right. See you soon.
Thanks all for watching.